All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Me here, talking real music in real time for a few real people just like you right there and just like me here. Elton John says goodbye for real, I think. Before I get to that, here's Chris Rosender and The Monster Inside. This is one of those albums that really echoes that quality AOR sound from the 1980s with hints of Toto and Foreigner and some of the more keyboard-driven material from the 80s. Really great album. Chris Rosender, The Monster Inside. I don't think anybody else will be promoting that particular album on the internet, but leave it to me, right? Also, don't forget to check out Modern Retro Radio. If you need some good music to listen to this weekend or any day of the week, modernretrofm.com. Good guys over there. They essentially give me a few cameos over there with voiceovers and the occasional shout out, which is always great. So I appreciate their help getting the word out about my channel, and in return, I get the word out about their great radio station. Now, on to Elton John. So Elton John basically said goodbye. This is according to a couple of publications. I've not been following his farewell tour, but it says this is his final farewell tour performance. That's what it's saying. Now, you're thinking to yourself, how many times has an artist done this? Now, this is supposed to be the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road Tour, the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road Tour. It started, I believe, back in September of 2018. And here we are in 2023. Tonight, according to the last show, meaning last night, was the 330th show of the tour, which recently became the first to gross over 900 million in ticket sales. So this is why these guys just can't get off the road. $900 million in ticket sales. You know, you might be able to end world hunger, right, with that much money in ticket sales. I'm thinking that Elton John probably doesn't need the money. By the way, I was reading an article about Elton John and his partner yesterday. They're planning on having more children. Elton John is 76. The guy he's with is, I think, 60 or so. And they're thinking of having more kids. So they certainly have the money to do it. It just is really, I don't, if you say anything negative about it, you're... Number one, you're being ageist because Elton is old. And number two, because it's not in the traditional way that you just don't understand today's world, Dave. This is normal now. And in my brain, I don't know. I guess I'm just defective. And my thoughts are my own. If you go inside my brain and you try to mess around with it, that's where things get a little bit dicey. That's probably what our future looks like, though, as a human species. We're probably going to be reprogrammed to think that this is just fine and dandy. And so what, Dave? Big deal. It's just kind of bizarre. Now that Elton is done with touring, he's going to have more kids. He gave a fairly long and interesting speech at the end, 52 years of pure joy playing music. He should have been thanking Bernie Taupin profusely for all of these great songs. Not to say that Elton John doesn't have talent. He does. But without Bernie, none of this happens. Bernie Taupin is a genius and a songwriting god with a lowercase g, obviously. After pausing for an extended round of applause from the audience, Elton John continued his speech and hinted that we'll be hearing from him again sooner than we might expect. He says, I will never forget you guys. I've played so many concerts. How could I forget? Okay. You're in my head, in my heart, in my soul, and I thank you so much. Sounds like a Rod Stewart song. I will never be touring again, but I may do something in the future, a one-off thing, but that's miles away. $900 million in ticket sales. $900 million, people. He says, I want to appreciate my family, my sons, my husband, my family, everything. I've earned it, and I don't regret it tonight. But I want to say thank you to the band, the crew, everybody. Again, no specific thanks to Bernie Taupin. I will miss you guys so much, but I will see you much quicker than you think. So there you go. For you Elton John fans, it's not over. It's never over. Even when the fat lady sings, it's not over with Elton John. And, you know, I have a hunch that Kiss probably isn't over even after the end of the road ends. I mean, with AI out there, folks, you know, in 50 years, you'll probably see Elton John still performing. His head will be mounted on a stick of some kind, and he'll still be technically alive. But, you know, they can probably put something over, you know, what's underneath the head. Just put the head out there, and the head will sing, and it will, you know, talk and do stuff. And Elton will still be alive thanks to transhumanism and maybe some other rock stars as well. Of course, I'm being a little facetious, right? I'm just being goofy. I mean, come on, man. I mean, there have been a lot of rock stars that have been dying, which is sad. But Elton John seems to be one of those characters. Like if Michael Jackson had lived, I think he would have figured out a way to not ever go away. I mean, we're in an age where people are starting to talk about things like you never have to die, and we can do things to keep you going. I think of, you know, Steve Austin. Remember, he was barely alive, but they could rebuild him, make him better, stronger, faster, the $6 million man. Well, Elton John just did 900 million in ticket sales. So I'm thinking a fraction of that could be devoted to cryogenics or whatever technology is going to be available, probably in just a few years, I would say, maybe even less than that, to keep Elton forever in our hearts and in our minds. Yeah, I don't know. All of this is creepy to me. I'm not saying Elton's in on this stuff, and who knows? Maybe he's just an ordinary guy like you and me, right? Maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe not, but a lot of great music. Let's not discount the fact that Elton John was the soundtrack to the 70s. He had a nice revival in the 80s. He had a comeback definitely again in the 90s. He's worked with everybody. Everybody seems to like the guy who works with him. So I'm not disparaging all of that. So much music. You could listen to Elton John for 24 hours straight and not really even scratch the surface. The guy's got so much stuff out there. And he's even being remade into a new version of himself with that Dua Lipa, whatever her name is, taking three of his songs and turning it into a big hit, I think from last year or the year before, where they mashed up 3 songs and it didn't really make sense lyrically, but it sounded kind of cool. And again, this is the future with all the AI stuff, and any artist who can't come up with an idea can revitalize someone else and maybe get a little portion of that revenue because they're coming up with the idea, and the original artist, who probably has already sold their music off anyway, the original artist probably isn't going to get anything. So that's kind of depressing for the original artist. But hey, you know, you sell the catalog, you sell the publishing, you sell whatever, and you get a big payment. You get millions of dollars in addition to the $900 million in ticket sales. Now, I know that's not his net. That's gross, but come on, people. Even if it's half that much, that is a lot of money. I think Elton can probably live comfortably on that. And, you know, he could solve a few problems. These guys, they bellyache about all these social problems and climate change and all this stuff. They could probably do something a little bit more impactful than just raising awareness and talking about it. So here's me raising awareness about Chris Rosender. This is a great album. It's called A Monster Inside. This is old school AOR rock. Has a real 80s feel to it. Great keyboards, great guitars, and more importantly, well-written songs. You know, we're talking about Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Writing songs, if you can write good songs, then really the future is yours. Even in today's world, if you can write some decent songs, you will rise above the mediocrity, which is the music industry of today. Again, don't forget about Modern Retro Radio, modernretrofm.com, and please support this channel if you can. Subscribe to it. If you can go over to Patreon and do like $1 or $2 a month. Also, there's YouTube memberships. You just hit the join button and you become a YouTube member. Occasionally, I will upload a video over there specifically for just members. So sometimes I get a little bit too spicy for everybody. And I'm also, by the way, the channel is mirrored on a couple of other platforms, Rumble, Odyssey. Not doing any business over on Rumble. I've even asked over there, hey, what's going on? And they're like, hey, we'll try to promote your channel a little bit more. So here I am, YouTube, Patreon. This is it, folks. I appreciate your help. God bless the world, and stay safe out there. See you soon.